Thank you, Jimmy. Here we go. Kurt, I'm trying to hide in the secret closet of mystery. I don't want to come out, so please don't bring attention to it. Time X-Wall. All right. We've noted it.
As long as you don't hide in the toy box, as they say in prison.
Fauci told people you could get HIV from a toilet seat after it was known to be bloodborne. That helped to inspire my foray into autodactism. Vienticus.
That means you're self-taught, right?
You could die from that autodidactism. Wear a mask.
So guess what?
Okay, back to Jimmy.
Guess what? This is the headline in the Telegraph newspaper. COVID vaccines may have helped fuel the rise in excess deaths.
Whoops-a-daisy.
Experts call for more research into side effects and possible links to mortality rates. Really?
Or just release the numbers you do have from the research you did when you experimented on all of us. How about that? More research.
Researchers from the Netherlands, analyzed data from 47 Western countries and discovered there had been more than 3 million excess deaths since 2020. So it's starting to creep into. They're starting, but they're still downplaying it. It's starting to creep into mainstream news. And I tell whenever I talk with Joe Rogan or text him, I'm like, no one will bring up excess deaths. Dr. John Campbell brings it up, and go look at his Wikipedia page and look what they've done to him. Dr. John Campbell, who still pretends that he doesn't pretend, he just doesn't talk to me. He won't come on the show, won't have me. He goes on Russell Brand's show. He won't come on this show.
He won't violent to AOC.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
If I had to pick a reason.
Is that it?
You were cursing.
My stochastic. Yeah, because I swear too much.
You stochastically swear at her.
So there has been 3 million excess deaths since 2020, with the trend continuing despite the rollout of vaccines and containment measures.
What?
They said the unprecedented figures raised serious concerns and called on governments to fully investigate the underlying causes, including possible vaccine harms.
Wait, do you think rushing it might have had something to do with it? I'm not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
Operation Warp Speed, where you take way less time than you normally would, might have had a connection?
Imagine if they did warp speed on any other thing. Hey, we built this new airplane in warp speed. Go fly on it.
Yeah, I think they did do that. Also gender affirming care. Actually, everything now.
Writing in the BMJ Public Health, the authors from this university in Amsterdam said, although COVID-19 vaccines were provided to guard civilians from suffering morbidity and mortality by the COVID-19 virus, suspected adverse events have been documented as well. Both medical professionals and citizens have reported serious injuries and deaths following vaccination to various official databases in the Western world. They added, during the pandemic, it was emphasized by politicians and the media on a daily basis that every COVID-19 death mattered and every life deserved protection through containment measures and COVID-19 vaccines. In the aftermath of the pandemic, the same moral should apply. Well, why isn't it? Why don't they care about excess deaths? Why are no one talking about it? This is the first mainstream publication I've seen talk about it. The study found that across Europe, the U.S. and Australia, there had been more than 1 million excess deaths in 2020 at the height of the pandemic, but also 1.2 million in 2021 and 800,000 in 2022 after measures were implemented and everybody had the vax. Researchers said the figure included deaths from COVID-19, but also the indirect effects of the health strategies to address the virus spread and infection.
I think those are direct effects. If it causes it, that's a direct effect.
That's a direct effect. They warned that side effects linked to the COVID vaccine had included ischemic stroke, acute coronary syndrome, and brain hemorrhage, cardiovascular diseases, pericarditis, myocarditis, coagulation. I don't even know what the hemorrhage is. Gastrointestinal events and blood clotting. Well, we know about the blood clotting. One person who worked for this company took the one that they pulled, that Johnson & Johnson, because of the blood clots. They pulled it.
Well, I guess you have to get the mRNA one now.
German researchers have pointed out that but that person never talks about it. German researchers have pointed out that the onset of excess mortality in early 2021 in the country coincided with the rollout of vaccines.
Oh, is Crystal Ball going to be on this one, on Breaking Points? She's going to cover this story, you think?
I'm going to bet she doesn't. Which the team said warranted further investigation. I'm going to guess all my comedian friends who were pro-mandating the vaccine aren't going to cover this either.
They're not even going to know about it.
They don't even know.
You tell them news from the news, and they're going to say it's a conspiracy.
Yes. However, more recent data regarding side effects has not been made available. Really?
Why?
Has not been made available to the public. With countries keeping their own individual databases of harms which rely on self-reporting by the public and doctors, the experts warned. And there was one guy, the head of Slovakia, who ordered an investigation into all this, and then he got shot in the head.
Hey, that's weird. What do you suppose the goal was of this now, seeing as how they've all got information from it?
Yeah.
They're holding on to it. They're not going to tell you.
So look at this chart that's in this article. It says, how risky was AstraZeneca vaccine? This is not Pfizer or Moderna. This is AstraZeneca. Well, if you give birth, 1 in 12,500 there are deaths from giving birth. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
That's high.
The chance of, if you're under 50, getting blood clots with low platelets from the AstraZeneca vaccine, 1 in 50,000.
That's not good. That's better than the lotto.
So let's remember there was an adverse event of 1 in 100 back in 1977 with the swine flu. They pulled that vaccine. Death from receiving general anesthesia, 1 in 100,000. I didn't know it was that high. Did you?
No. I kind of did, but I put it.
Death from hang gliding, 1 in 125,000.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Death from going in a scuba dive, 1 in 200,000. So scuba diving is much safer than hang gliding.
Yeah.
By the way, they're both safer than getting the AstraZeneca.
You should have hang glided for COVID.
Drowning in a bathtub, 1 in 685,000. Death from drinking, a half a liter of wine, 1 in a million.
I want to put that up against like crack and stuff. I bet crack's not even near as dangerous.
So researchers said that it was likely that the impact of containment measures, I mean the stuff they had you to do to try to fight COVID, restricted healthcare and socioeconomic upheaval during the pandemic had contributed to deaths, although accepted that was difficult to prove.
Hey, every little bit helps.
Gordon Wishart, a chief medical officer at Check for Cancer and visiting professor of cancer surgery at this Ruskin University, he warned repeatedly that delaying cancer diagnosis would lead to deaths. So people were getting their regular checkups like they should have, and it led to more cancer deaths, is what they're saying.
And no one said, hey, that might be a problem, and they just went on. It seems like they wanted that to happen.
The authors are correct to point out that many vaccine-related serious adverse events may have been unreported, and point to the fact that the simultaneous onset of excess mortality and COVID vaccination in Germany is worthy of further investigation on its own.
I'm glad they came to that conclusion finally. That's great.
The paper provides more questions than answers, but it is hard to disagree with their conclusion that further analysis is required to understand the underlying causes of excess mortality to better prepare for the future management of pandemic crisis.
Oh my God. I can't say.
So I also just have to let you know that the vaccine, the FDA and the CDC still recommending it, and it is safe and effective. So don't be worried. It's fantastic. And
wear a mask.
And wear a mask, and it doesn't stop the spread, but it certainly slows it, and it'll keep you from getting seriously ill, hospitalized, or dead. So this is just what these people are saying in this newspaper and at these universities and at the cancer centers. I would listen to the FDA and the CDC and Dr. Fauci and those types of people, and they say it's just fantastic. Get your booster. I think you'd be up to number 9 or 10 by now. Get your bivalent booster. Over to Steph.
Okay.
as Jews in the walls. Isn't it bliss, the rabbinical grace, soiling the mattresses? Well, let me tell you. If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
At this time, more than any other time, revolution is necessary. It is necessary. Not only based on what has happened with the MOVE organization, the babies that have been murdered, MOVE adults that have been murdered, bombs being dropped on us, but past that to what is happening with all black people, so-called minority people, money poor people. This government, as has been said earlier, has waged war on us. But something about us, particularly here in America, we don't really understand that. We don't really know what war is. For black people, for poor people, that people see as good, that they wasn't forced to do, that they didn't do to try to keep black people appeased, and calm down so that black people wouldn't riot. A prison situation is a crystallized example of that. You can make phone calls in prison. They have movies in prison, but they don't have those things because they just want to be nice to prisoners. They have those things because they know damn well if they don't have, people being able to contact their family, if they don't have, facilities for people to sit there and watch movies, people are going to be frustrated, upset, and they're going to direct that frustration at them prison administrators, and they're going to have riots on their hands. They're going to have people in them prisons turning them prisons out. That's why they have movies. That's why they have access to phones the way they do. And a stop to it when we don't like it, or encouraging it when it's something that's in our interest. We have to call the shots. The people have to take the reins of this system and start dictating what we need, what needs to be done. And, taking the initiative to do it ourselves. We can't rely on this system. Don't people see what's happening? Every single confrontation that MOVE people have been involved in, every single issue, oppression, economic issues, every single issue facing our people, is something that can be dealt with very, very simply. All people got to do is make their wishes known. All people have to do is stand up and say, listen, we're not accepting that. Unity is the key. Unity is the key to revolution. Revolution ain't nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to shy away from. Revolution, contrary to what officials, this system and those backing the officials running the system, want people to believe that revolution means violence, means blood in the street. I'm saying it can get to that point, but it don't have to be violent. When people come together and take a strong stand on an issue, this government don't have no choice but to listen. Where you think they get their authority from? They don't have no power, but they do have authority to do certain things. Where do you think they get it from? They get it from us, from the people. They get it from us accepting the things that they do to be done to stop it, then you have some people who want to then turn around and say, yeah, well, you know, it's the best we have, and want to make excuses. The time for excuses is over. It's over. You know, every man, woman, and child has to be involved in this revolution. Not only has to be, but is, whether you want to be or not. I mean, our babies gave their lives for this revolution on May 13th. You know, men, women, and children were murdered. And not just move babies, you know. What about all of the young men, women, you know, children 8, 9 years old shot down on the street by cops, you know, by drug pushers? I mean, you know, where do you think that mentality comes from? It comes from this system, from the mentality of this system of getting over, you know, making a quick buck, you know. I'm saying that's where that needs to be done to stop it. Then, you know, what I want people to really, really understand is that it's past time. It is past time for poor people, black people, you know, to realize that this system has failed you. It has failed you. You can't get nothing from it. And what people got to do is withdraw our support from it and start doing for ourselves. That's what we got to do. You know, how long are people going to sit back and beg, you know, this government to do what's right when for hundreds of years all you've gotten is a slap in the face? All you've gotten is this government kicking your ass. That's all. That's all black people have ever gotten from this government.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit